Hey guys, it's Anime K-Man. Today I'm going to be reading the third episode of Goblin Slayer. And I gotta say, while this episode wasn't action-packed like some of the other episodes, I like how at the very least this episode expands the setting a bit by mentioning that, at least through the perspective of the priestess, that her parents, she learned that the goblins have come from essentially when people do misdeeds, and that's how they form, although it's not exactly known, it's just folklore. And then you get to see Goblin Slayer's perspective when he mentions things like he thinks they come from the moon and that they're envious of what people have, and that's how he looks at goblins. And you know what? I kind of like that kind of thinking from the Goblin Slayer, because at the very least, it's showing that, at least from his perspective, that there can be humans that can, at the very least, to get some of those shitty ass traits like goblins if they're not careful enough, or they're people with lack of morals. So I kind of like that. It paints the Goblin Slayer's character a bit more, it makes him a bit more interesting. And then aside from that, I like how in this episode you get introduced to like an elf, a dwarf, and a lizard man. And it kind of made the cast a bit more colorful, especially at the start when you had these two talk about how there's demons that want to take over the world. And I like how this episode was like building that shit up, and then the Goblin Slayer's like, he mentions that he doesn't even care, and I gotta admit, that got a fucking chuckle out of me. Especially when you even had the dwarf laugh simultaneously, and I was laughing too, and that made the scene even funnier. So I kind of like that, how when it comes to unexpected humor, this show can use that to its advantage, at least on occasions. So that's a pretty nice positive. And then aside from that, I like how this episode finally has the priestess consider whether she should follow the Goblin Slayer or not. Because even in the first episode, it's understandable, but in the second episode, it kind of makes you wonder what's the priestess thinking. And then when she actually talks to this witch and she mentions that you should weigh your options, your past, and all that kind of jazz, I like that scene because it should, for one, set up the priestess for more character development. But then I like how in this episode near the end, it kind of subtly answers that question, because I like how when they show the scene where she's putting this blanket around Goblin Slayer and she's blushing, you can tell that she definitely wants to pursue, at the very least, maybe some kind of romantic relationship with the Goblin Slayer. So like how even though this episode brought up that question, it kind of answered it through subtle emotion cues, and it just beat your fucking face with like the answer through like such obvious shit. It just did it through like actions from the priestess, showing that she cares for the Goblin Slayer to a certain extent, and that's why she follows him. So that was pretty cool, and that was a nice bit of characterization for her. And I like how this episode, even though it was like such a little amount, you even had some character development for the Goblin Slayer, because he was even putting the priestess into consideration, saying things like she should rest, which is also nice because it shows you their relationship, while it isn't just peaches and fucking roses, it's kind of improved somewhat, because at the very least he even cares about the priestess to a certain extent. He cares about her back, just not as much as the priestess cares about the Goblin Slayer, but he still cares a certain deal, which is nice because, as shown in this episode, there is not a lot of things that the Goblin Slayer cares about. It's either goblins, cares a little bit about the farmer girl, then goblins. But then I like on this episode, he cares about the priestess too, so that was nice. It makes him into not a super fleshed out character, but it gives him a slight bit more depth. And aside from that, it was nice how in this episode you got introduced to the elf and dwarf and the lizard man. You had them sit around a campfire, and then instead of having them just give out their goals through like so fucking boring ass exposition, you had them in the campfire mention their goals. Like, one of them wants to eat all the foods. Another one, the elf, she wants to travel around and know more things about the world to expand her horizon, and I kind of like that kind of stuff. Considering her youthful appearance and her outgoing personality, it fits in with the character. And it makes her a much more interesting character, which is nice. Like how Goblin Slayer, it isn't all just about the action. It's starting to now take a much more character-centered approach. And I like how, again, you get to get a bit more development from the Goblin Slayer, because it was nice how he finally opened up a little bit how her sister doesn't live anymore to everyone else, and even shared a piece of cheese from the farm, from the people that we saw in the second episode, and he shared it with everyone else when he was seeing everyone else share, which is nice. It humanizes him, because while the episode doesn't really explicitly say it, he's seeing other people share his culture with like the wine and the elf food, so he's sharing a bit of his culture, which is the cheese, which is some good shit, and I like that. It's not just showing them them as the Goblin Slayer, then go on a quest and kill. They're talking to each other so that when they get into a conversation with the goblins, we will actually care if one of these characters fucking dies. So, for all these reasons, really the only downside in this episode is maybe, again, some shitty looking CG, but that's it, really. Soundtrack in this episode was good. Art was pretty nice, aside from the CG Goblin Slayer night scene. It's where it shows his armor. I'd say from a character standpoint, this episode did good. And while from a story standpoint, this episode didn't do much, it at least told us a bit of folklore about the goblins, and that's always nice to fucking see. And he mentions how, the fucking military, they don't really do much about goblins. And it's nice how you even have the goblins say a counter-argument that the villages, while the world's in danger from demons, the villages are in danger from goblins. And that's pretty nice how you could tell he's looking out for the smaller man. And that's always nice to see too. So, for all these reasons, I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10. Even though it kind of teased that, there's demons and the Goblin Slayer doesn't care, and while I wish they would show some demons, who knows, maybe the episode can have goblins collaborating with demons and we can see Goblin Slayer throw down with fucking demons and goblins, man. That shit would see so lit! Woo! But again, if it's just goblins, at the very least, as long as the character interactions are good, this anime can at the very least still be good. And that's why I gave this episode 7 out of 10. So anyways, anime onlys, comment your thoughts in the comment section below. Who do you think is going to die from the Goblin Slayer's new crew? I think the dwarf's going to die because, just a feeling. He's old, and we know how anime treat old people at times. And for manga and light novel fans, how's this stacking up to its source material? And for everyone else, rate the video, subscribe if you want to see more Goblin Slayer reviews, and I'll see you guys next week. If no interruptions happens, and for everyone else, have a good and safe day, and bye-bye.